The article we picked is titled Blood Work, and I'm going to tell you the reason we chose the topic. Does anyone know why we chose this topic? Because the content is interesting, or because it's easy to understand. Both of them are wrong. In fact, it's a difficult and long article. So how come an article is neither appealing nor simple can defeat the other article in a time magazine and become the winner to make presentation of you? The answer is useful and non-readable. It's a specialized field in biology, and many people may think, what the hell is biology? And why I need to understand this kind of complex, difficult, and boring things. Does it have any relationship to me? The answer is absolutely yes. Knowing our body is not just the responsibility of biologists, but every one of us. We want to share with you more information about one of the most important components in our body, blood. So, why is blood essential to us? Besides water, the blood is the most crucial component in our body. Without it carrying oxygen, we will not be able to survive more than one day. So it's necessary for us to comprehend it. Now, let me briefly introduce blood to you, and be sure to pay attention to the following illustration, because it may be the question at the end of the presentation. Okay, let's get started. About blood, you should know what are blood components. It is composed of plasma, 血浆, which take about 55% in the blood, and the blood cell, which take about 45% in the blood. And there are lots of ingredients in the plasma, so we don't list them one by one. And the blood cells can be divided into 3 categories: red blood cell, white blood cell, and blood platelet. Each of them own different use respectively. And what are blood functions? It has 3 main functions. The first one is transportation. The transportation of blood is mainly rely on red blood cell. It can transport elements that maintain our body to work regularly, like oxygen, which we breathe from the lung, and the nutrients we eat and digest. It also transport garbage like urea, 尿素, to involuntary 排泄器官 and bring them out of our body. The second one is protection. White blood cell is responsible for the protection in our body. They can swallow things like bacteria. They are harmful to us and do not originally belong to us. So we can avoid being affected from the bad substance. And the blood platelet, 血小板, is take charge of start bleeding. When we get injured, they liberate some kind of material they will gather and break up in our lungs. So in order to prevent us from a more serious bleeding. And the next one is maintaining stability in our body. Owing to the blood keeps circulating and interact with many parts of our body, it's an important role maintaining stability. For example, it regulates human beings' temperature to be steady around 37 degrees Celsius. Too much or too less will harm our blood cells. After listening above mentioned, we can realize what is blood and how does it work and its indispensability to human beings. Now back to our article. It has deeper discussion about blood, such as the more complex and tiny things like proteins and DNA work on our body, and some new discovery in biology, how they influence on medical treatment. Or in other countries invest how much money in the biology and their result. It's my turn to the next person to introduce to you about the summary of the article.
To understand the best human body, it is necessary to start from the smallest but the most complex concept, and that is DNA. From the diagram, gene is a section of DNA, and it determines the characteristics of human being. Inside the genes are base pairs, and it is where translation and transcription take place. And this is the structure of DNA. And as mentioned in the last slide, base pairs undergo both transcription and translation. Transcription is to express the code mRNA is transcribed from the gene sequence, and translation is when RNA translates from mRNA into amino acid. Amino acid is antigen, and amino acid combine to proteins. And why is protein synthesis so important for scientists? Because the produced proteins is then dispatched into the body, executes the genetic well. However, transcription and translation is also mutation, where the mutation occurs. Mutation 就是基因突变。And then a summary. Scientists have known that DNA can tell us a great deal about our risk factors of certain diseases. Genes by themselves don't directly make us who we are, but they produce proteins. If the genes are the blueprints, the proteins are the working parts that control every cell in our body. And the second part is protein is a huge data challenge. What makes protein such a huge data challenge is that they exist in a nearly infinite variety of combinations. And then it gets very complex. There can be hundreds of different variants of protein in a single cell. The scientists say finding the right protein for your needs are like to spotting a bee in a space. And the third part is compare the specific protein against genome. If this work is a trick, it can tell you the likelihood of getting disease. But it means not whether you actually have it. People are born with one set of genes, in other words. This not only helps doctors diagnose your disease, but also it can help you treat it in advance. And the fourth part is US spends 17 billion on oncology drugs annually and wastes about 14% of it. Because the drugs didn't work. But if it instead spent 5 billion to make those patients, US can save 25 million could be saved. And the last part is what scientists are trying to do is turn data into a useful and actionable knowledge. If it works, it will indeed become a big deal to the whole world. We can have much efficiency of treating our disease.
Okay. I will tell you something more about the subject. More information. First, recently some scientists found that something in seaweed called vicodin 合藻糖浆 can stop the growing of cancer cells. And we all know that cancer is a serious problem for our people's good health, and it is a breakthrough because we found that vicodin can stop the growth of cancer cells. We can use it on many medical treatment. And Taiwanese researchers found these granules, and what are they trying to do is to extract these vicodin substance. They found Taiwan seaweed born in eastern Taiwan, and Tohu. We have lots of this kind of seaweed, and luckily we found it is much smaller molecular of vicodin, which is more suitable for human's body to use. And Taiwanese researchers are trying their best to extract this substance and want to find out the method to apply these big news in medicine, because we use this
this technology, we can save many lives of people. If this study can be done successfully, we can take advantage of it, and it will be useful and helpful in medical treatment. For example, I found out a news for you, and the news introduced the study how to play how to develop, and the Taiwan's doctor said they want to use this technology to therapy lung cancer and 乳癌、大肠癌 something like that. Because these cancers are the most serious problem in Taiwan, and I will play the video for you. Okay, I will tell you another information from UK. The subject is, could genes determine our fate? The psychologists in University of Edinburgh say it's yes. They studied 800 cases of twins, and they found who have the same DNA can have more possibility for having the same personalities than other else. They found our genes can shape our characteristics and shape our personality. Just like some people their personality may be prefer to silence, quiet, or love to make noisy, gentle, obedient, or naughty, something like that. They also found genes can influence a whole family's personality.
A whole family may have the similar characteristics, especially in these three parts: influence on self-controlling, control ourselves, and ability of making decisions or social skills are all about our genes. Just like the twins study, they have the same DNA, and they also have the same personality. The possibility is more than other else. Some people can determine their minds and chart their goals traveling, but somebody else not. They just do their work busily or blindly, don't know what are they finding. Science psychologists tell us it's all about genes as well. A whole family members may have the similar characteristics than other family members. Don't know what this all about our genes and find this affect greater than environment.
Your time's up, so you have to wrap it up.
To influence us so much, we can conduct that our genes can determine our fates. Thank you.
Okay, let me take you review about our article. And first, our topic is blood work. So what's in our blood? There's water, blood cell, and some shit, like red one or white one, or another kind it can help us to recover when you injured, it helps me recover faster. And then how DNA translate to protein is that we have the process. It's DNA and have the transcription, then have the translation, then you will become a protein. And we have talked about mutation, and mutation is happening in the process in translation. And the second one is protein have many kinds, a lot of and so he can store huge data. So he stores huge data. So if you want to find some right protein you find the protein you want is difficult. And so if you want to know the probability you get disease, you can find the gene, but it's more harder than find the protein because gene is in the protein, and find the right protein is difficult. So find the gene is harder than it. But if you find the right gene, it's quite useful because not only help the doctor diagnose what kind of disease you get, but also check the efficiency of the treatment. But however, like U.S. government, it invests a lot of money to the drug because they make a lot of drug, but many of it can work because it may not fit everyone. So today, the knowledge level about the gene work and how to make drug is improved a lot, but it's still difficult to have one drug to prevent any kind of disease. And the news we have talked about is the plant in the seed, and we can eat it to prevent the cancer. And the gening of the twin, the gene can have the same genes. We can have the same characters. So gening will influence our self-control and making a decision and social skills. Okay, let's move on our question. There are 10 questions. So,
No, your time is not up yet. So tell us more. No. Q&A is not included. Tell us more.
Because there are many kinds of protein, and it's made of there are some code like ATCG. I think everyone has known this one in your biology class, although it's not a good memory, but it's quite important in our body. So if you want to know about our body, you can start from DNA and protein and the gene, and so how it affects our characters or some disease. So if you want to know this kind, you can learn more about it.
Okay. Walk us through all the questions.
The first one is the blood essential to us and why? Give me some reason. And what are the blood functions? It has 3 functions. And how many kinds of blood cells in our body? Can you describe the process that have DNA transferred to the protein? I'm told. In which step of protein synthesis will mutation happen?
Into mutation.
And in the article it said US spends $90 billion on alcohol drug annually and waste about 40% of it. According to the statement, do you think it's worth continuing to develop new oncology drug? And 7, have you ever given up something just because you think you don't have the talent on this aspect? And 8, do you think gene can describe your life, can decide your life? And number 9, do you think change your lifestyle will prevent from cancer? Like eat more seafood? After listening to a presentation, do you want to have deeper realize to your body?
Okay. So 1 minute for discussion. You can talk to your neighbors, group members, and choose whatever you want to answer.